Welcome to the Rated Gen Z podcast, Maliya. How are you today?
I'm good. Hi, Raquel. How are you?
I'm good. So I haven't recorded a Rated Gen Z podcast in a while. I've been doing all my Rock the
Oh,
Boat podcasts with such
yeah.
under 18. And right now I seem to be like, the thing for all the 17 and 16-year olds that are doing like nonprofits in high
Yeah,
school. They're
yeah.
coming on my Rock the Boat show to talk about their initiatives and nonprofits. So it's like a niche for me right now. It's
Yeah.
interesting. So I'm excited because I'm like Rated Gen Z, when it's over
hmm
18 you can kind of delve into a little bit more like topics that maybe you just can't really talk about with a 16-year-old or
Right, right.
yeah,
No, it's pretty great that they have all these working on their own organizations, especially at a young age. That's so impressive.
it's insane. I just had a 14-year-old that already has a nonprofit and is doing all this stuff. Yeah, it makes me feel like what was I doing at that age, which is not much
Yeah.
compared to what all of you are doing. But Malia, I would love to have you introduce yourself and then we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, I would love that. So I'm from San Diego. I go to college in LA. I go to USC. I'm a college freshman, which is super exciting. And my main passion. I like to call it my passion project is my own podcast called The Mental Playbook. And I started it a year ago. It's a sports and wellness podcast where I interview athletes and sports professionals, wellness experts to kind of talk about some of the issues related to mental health and specifically in sports. And it's really just creating a space like you are too to open up and be honest and have real conversations. And then also, I think it's really important for, especially for like professional athletes and even just anyone on the media these
Mhm.
days to know them, not only from what we see on the screen, but also behind that, to know their journey, their experiences, kind of how they build resilience and grit on and off the field. So that is my own, I guess, hobby, I like to say. And I think with that, I eventually want to work in sports and in sports business. So that's what I'm kind of doing in school. My major is behavioral economics and psychology, which is a really niche major, but it's
Yeah.
basically understanding how to analyze decisions in business based on consumer behavior. And I kind of just want to use that just to understand work and life like that because I think it's applicable for many different things.
Yeah, I love that all these majors are coming out that are like very specific. Someone the other day was looking into a particular major and it's like he didn't realize this major existed. I didn't either, and I forget what it
Yeah.
is. I wish I had it on the top of my head, but I was like, wow, that's so cool. Because yeah, I was an art history major.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I didn't do anything
yeah.
clearly. But I just love that you guys can be more specific in what
Yeah.
you want to study because I think that's what happens is a lot of times, especially with athletes, I don't know how it is now, but like I went
hmm
to UCLA and I was friends with a ton of the
hmm
athletes, and a lot of them were just like history, sociology,
Yeah.
just kind of very generic
Right.
majors where it's like, yeah, but what are you going to do with it? And I love that
hmm
now they're definitely like just more honed in into what the person's actually interested
Right.
in.
Yeah, no, it's so weird when applying. It's we've got so many different majors, and it's like, which one do we choose? And I think I had to do my own research, understanding what the different majors are. And I think luckily USC had one major that talks about econ and psychology, and those were my
Which
two
I think is
interests.
fascinating.
Yeah, it is very fascinating, and I mean, it's both really, really difficult subjects, but I want to learn more and I want to be able to understand it better. But yeah, right now it's just like the basic
Yeah.
requirements, so I haven't really gotten into that ma part of the major, but yeah, I'm excited for when that happens.
And we went to the same, we graduated from the same high school,
Yes,
right?
Francis
That's how we
Parker.
got connected was through Parker.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Which, yeah.
I joined Parker in fifth grade and I was pretty much there for
Oh,
all
so
a lot
you
of my
started, yeah,
life.
I joined in seventh grade.
Okay, yeah.
I would have been earlier, but and I was actually just mentioning this yesterday on a podcast that I
Hmm.
had that I actually failed the entrance exam 3 times, and I took it when I was like
No
younger.
way.
I just kept failing the math part. First of all, not a good test taker. Like I just never have been. And then
Yeah.
secondly, like math has never been my thing. And there's that trash truck. Um, and math was always really difficult. So I was always failing the math section and that was messing up my score. So
Yeah.
then finally, like my dad was like, we're getting you in. Because I really wanted to go too. It wasn't like it was
Yeah.
my parents. It was more of like I wanted to go to this school.
Hmm.
And I remember I would come home from at the time I was at, obviously at a different school, and I would come home from school and my dad and we would have like math lessons. And I don't know if he knew maybe like the type of math like that they were going to have on the exam, or maybe it
Yeah.
was kind of generic. I don't remember. All I know is that like he knew kind of like what math to go over and practice.
That's
And we did
awesome.
it every day. And not only did I end up passing, but I think I got the highest math score.
Wow.
It goes to
Look
show
at
you got to
that.
just like persevere. Yeah, like I did not give up, but it was hard for me. I don't know how it was for you, Malia, but I was talking about this also with a lot of the students is that, you obviously have social media, so you see what other kids are
Hmm.
doing and they're great. They can be very vocal about like I have a 4.8 GPA and this and that and
Yeah.
so forth. When I was in high school, it was just among our peers, like our inner
Right.
circle. And just even among my good friends, who I'm still friends with, they were much smarter with me than me in the sense of like test taking and being able
Hmm.
to just like absorb the material. For me, it was really difficult. Like I really had to study. And then they would still get
Yeah.
like A pluses and I'd get like a B plus. And so I
Yeah.
struggled a lot in that regard, just comparing myself and feeling like I wasn't smart enough. Did you ever feel that way at Parker? And it was my own, like I didn't get pressure from
Yeah.
my parents or pressure
Hmm.
from the school. It was my own, pressure that I put on myself. So I don't want anyone thinking that like, they're because they really are
Yeah.
pretty cool. But how did
Yeah.
you how did you kind of navigate all that
Yeah, I
while you were
appreciate
there?
you sharing that because I do feel like I can connect in that sort of way. I started off in a Montessori school, which was very hands-on. And so my type of learning was more visual, it was more engaging. And I think that transition into Parker, being very academics focused,
Yeah.
was very difficult, especially joining fifth grade. There was only three new people, including me. And
Oh,
I think
wow.
that was a weird
Yeah.
change because I've, never had that big of a transition. But I got used to it. I think having, being in a small classroom as well, it was a little bit more helpful because I felt like I was able to talk to teachers and stuff. But I was um, I do feel like in comparison to other students that it was difficult because I don't think I am the best test taker
Yeah.
as well. And then also just being in high school, comparing grades, I think that was
Yeah.
also like, why are we doing this? Like, I don't feel the need to share it, and like I
Yeah, because
feel
it's
pretty
always like, what'd you get?
comfortable.
What'd you get? Like when you were
Yeah.
finished. And there were times where I was really embarrassed and I didn't want to share.
Yeah. And so, yeah, no, I agree. I would be embarrassed, and then also I sometimes was kind of happy with my B. Like,
Yeah.
I worked really hard in math. Feel like that was good for me, and we were all on different journeys and paths, and I think even just comparison on social media as well, especially in I think getting into colleges, like this whole thing that, oh, my college is better than yours,
Yeah,
but
or just
not.
the trend of
Yeah.
like have actually recording yourself, finding out on the computer whether you
Yeah.
got in or not. Like, I'm sorry, but that is mortifying. Like, I don't even know
Yeah.
how that step trend started. And I was like, when I saw that trend, I'm like, this is awful. This is absolutely awful. Like,
Hmm.
as a parent whose kids were also like in that age group
Yeah.
and going through that, I was like, I would never want like, and luckily my kids are like the opposite when it comes to stuff like that. But yeah, it was like that puts even more pressure.
Yeah, right. And especially I think being at Parker where it's Again, very academic
Well,
focused.
it's a
We're
college
all
prep
great
school.
students.
Like you go
Yeah,
to
it
that, like
is.
people, like I
Yes.
was telling people when I talk about my high school, I'm like, my high school is you go there because
Yeah.
like your parents want you to get accepted into
Yeah.
like Ivy League, like top, like, school, university. Like that's why you go
Hmm.
and you spend all this money on this
Yeah.
education. I
Yeah.
mean,
And no,
really.
I'm grateful that Parker got me
Yeah.
to where I want to be, but it is very intense in that type of way.
Yeah.
Especially because everyone's struggling to do their APs, get in their college applications. It's just all a stressful time, I guess.
Yeah. How big was your graduating class? Because I graduated in 93 and we were
Hmm.
62 people.
Whoa.
We were in trailers. That's when, like, before
Oh
everything was
yeah.
remodeled and before they put all the money into all the new
Yes.
buildings and the new architecture. Yeah, we were in trailers. Senior year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. So we had 100 and around 150 people
Okay, so
in our
double.
graduating class. And I think that's another thing is like now being at USC, seeing like what a bigger campus is, a bigger student body is. I feel like Parker was a kind of smaller school, and
Yeah.
even though I mean it's even smaller with like around
Well,
60
yeah, and I went from
people.
62 to UCLA. So talk about
Yeah.
like, but I wanted that. Like
Yeah.
at the time, I have a really good friend and I'm still friends with her too, but she went to La Jolla High.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so we had 8-man football. Oh my God, I'm like aging myself so bad. Like this is like now that I talk about it, I'm like, I was talking about the other day with Coach Herman because I was at Parker
Yeah.
and we talked for a
Oh.
while because I was there touring for in my documentary. And we were just talking about how we had 8-man football. So the games
Hmm.
were during the day. They weren't even night games. They weren't like taken seriously. I was a cheerleader, but like anybody could be a
Yeah.
cheerleader
Yeah.
and like you didn't have enough students to even like, but and so with La Jolla High, I would go to all their night games, I'd go to their
Oh, yeah.
parties. Like I felt like I'm like, I need something more than because
Hmm.
at the time it's great. Like I'm still really close with all my best girlfriends from Parker. That's one thing
Oh,
that
I
like
love
I
that.
still go back. I mean, that's why they're gonna actually like do the screening for my film.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool. Like I've always felt a strong, strong connection to Parker. Like my high school experience was so incredible. Like for me, that
Hmm.
it's just like those formative years. Like I'll never not like have any kind of connection with Parker.
Yeah.
Like, I'd feel that way strongly. But it was just funny because I was just like, I need something completely different than what I'm experiencing
Hmm.
here in high school. And so I went to UCLA and then got lost and among all the freaking thousands of people that were
Uh,
attending.
yeah. No, I do feel like I felt the same way too. I wanted to expand my experience and just be in a bigger environment. USC it's not like incredibly big, but it's bigger than what I'm used to. And so I think that was really a fun transition that in that type of way.
Yeah.
And then also, yeah, being at Parker, I did feel like it was a little like closed off. Like I didn't really go to other schools' things. And
Yeah.
um I think it definitely helps having like activities outside of school as well to really get that overall experience. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I know that's crazy. So were you in sports at Parker? Is
Yeah,
this why
so
you're
I
so
mean,
into it?
yeah, I think a lot of my experience at Parker has helped me start and grow my podcast. And I played different sports. I never really stuck to one. So I think
Okay.
that's where I was like, okay, I want to have these different experiences. So I did cheer for a bit. And then I did JV soccer, beach volleyball outside of school.
Oh, they
And
had
I
beach
think,
volleyball. Wow, we didn't have
yeah.
that.
So I think it did help having like the what is it, the PE credits or
Oh
like the
yeah.
sports credits, like
Yeah.
needing to get those because that
Hmm.
really pushed me to actually like play something. Um
Yeah, because that's what
so
like in order not to be in PE, you would play a sport
right,
because you had to have
exactly.
credits. Yeah, and you're
And
like, okay.
I've talked to like other students at other schools and they've talked about how they only needed like two like semesters or trimesters of credits, and we needed like six
Yeah.
trimesters or so, and that's kind of a lot, but it also is like, yeah, I do want to play something and I do want to try it out because I think growing up I really only did like dance, gymnastics, that route. Whereas I think being on a team and competing is such a different experience.
Yeah.
Like it is just a different level, and it can be really fun, but also I was very focused on my own growth, and I think that was what I enjoyed, is learning how to be better each day and then also connect with my teammates as well.
Yeah. So, are you like heavily involved with USC clubs? Because we were talking about that too. I was talking about with a
Mhm.
friend from UCLA. So this is really cool because I always like to share how, the college too, you're going to form friendships for life.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
actually, yeah, on Saturday was my best, like one of my best friends from UCLA. We were freshman roommates. And then
Oh,
we became roommates again junior year. We were in different sororities, but we had like mutual friends because, we were such
yeah.
good friends. And then it was her birthday party. She had two of her sorority sisters. One of them actually was my orientation roommate, and we were really close too.
Oh, awesome.
So we did like a little slumber party on Saturday. And at her house, she lives just 2 blocks away. It's kind of
That's so
random that
fun.
we live
Yeah.
2 blocks away from each other. And then today, after this, I'm driving up to La Quinta, my other best friend Courtney, who I met her also my like first day I think of moving into UCLA, and then we ended up in the same sorority. But I'm still so close to all these girls. But we were talking about how we didn't take advantage of like all the resources and the clubs that
Mm,
UCLA offered. Like
interesting.
we were in our sorority, so I think we were like
Yeah.
so just kind of caught up in like sorority life and Greek
Yeah.
life that we really didn't take advantage. So are you taking advantage of those resources? Are you in a sorority? Like I'm curious as to what your freshman
Yeah,
year
I
and
love
junior
that
year.
you bring up that question because it's interesting that like I feel like it's weird to say these days, but I feel
Yeah.
like in my generation
Yeah.
we're really I guess motivated in a
Okay.
way where we want to use those resources, and maybe that's just my perspective, but I do feel like in the environment I'm in, it's all about how can we best use the resources we have here. And I think also being a part of Parker and being involved in like so many different
Yeah.
things, I mean, I love that about Parker. I was in like ASB, I was in Scribe for journalism, playing different sports, different clubs, all of
Yeah.
that. That I found it easier to also do that here at USC. So I'm in a sorority, I'm in DG, and
Okay. I
Delta
was
Gamma.
Alpha Phi. There's an Alpha
Okay,
Phi at
yes.
USC. We
Yes,
actually
there is.
the only time I visited USC campus was when we partnered up, we collaborated with the Alpha
Oh,
Phis at
no way.
USC and we went to their house. And I
Wait,
forget
that's
what we did
awesome.
together, but yeah, we partnered up for something. And that was the only time I'd ever been on campus because when I was supposed to visit USC and UCLA, it was during the Rodney King. Like when
Oh,
Rodney King actually like when he like the whole beating, like it was that weekend
wow.
and the riots started happening.
Yeah.
We never went to visit. And then after that, I think
Okay.
I just went to visit UCLA and I was like, oh, forget USC because I think I might have been scared. I mean, very honest, like it
Yeah.
was in that area. And I think like as just a kind of a
Yeah.
sheltered young woman, I was like, yeah, no. And then when I went to UCLA, I was like, this is it for me. Like as soon as I
Hmm.
stepped on campus, like I knew that this is where I belonged. But yeah, so that was the only experience that I had at
Wow.
USC. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll have to come visit me.
Yeah, I
But
know.
yeah. So the other thing is with sororities and like Greek life
Yeah,
for USC, at least the sororities we rush in the spring. And I think so UCLA, I think it's
in
is
the
it in the
fall.
fall?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think that's really different, and also something I liked about USC is that
I didn't know that.
there's time in the fall to like kind of like have our own experiences and then rush with our friends together in
Yeah,
the spring. Um, so that was kind of nice. And right now it's because I just kind of joined the semester. It's still really new, but it's been great. It's a nice like I guess separate community to
yeah,
have and to go back to. And I mean, TG's got great food, so I'm like, it's better than the dining hall, but
Yes, yeah, I would eat lunch every single day at the
yeah,
house too. My
yeah,
sophomore year, yeah. Yeah, that's funny that I didn't realize that you guys would rush in spring, which I think makes sense because I
yeah.
actually didn't rush in the fall. What happened
Oh,
was is I was COB.
yeah,
And then I ended
okay.
up being a COB chair the following year because I
Oh,
had
awesome.
done that experience. But I didn't
Yeah,
even know I was like being rushed, if you will, because
yeah.
for me, I had missed the fall rush. And because I purposely, I think it was the same thing. Like, let me get to know the girls, like in
Hmm.
general, like I don't feel like the pressure to have to be a part of
Right.
something. And so, but it wasn't, I went to a football game and there were a bunch of alpha fees there and I had went with
Mm,
like a fraternity or something and I started talking to these girls and I just like automatically connected with them. I'm like, they're really cool. So I didn't really even get a chance to meet other like sorority girls either. It was just
yeah,
again like meeting them and then they were rushing me and my best friend at the time,
yeah.
Chelsea. And so we pledged together and
Oh.
I remember my parents being like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Because you haven't seen any other." I'm like, "I am,"
Hmm.
because I just feel there's something, I just felt
Right.
like these are my girls.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like I said, I'm still friends, Courtney and I, and then my friend Nancy, and Nancy introduced me to my ex-husband. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, so it's one of those things where the way that I came about it was very non, conventional, but it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to work out. And I think this whole rush process, that was honestly the mindset. And it is very competitive. It is a competitive environment because there's just so many girls rushing and not
And then
enough
not only that,
houses.
like social media has made it
Yes,
like a whole.
yes.
Okay, so I'm sure you heard
Hmm.
about this because this was my daughter's sorority at U of A.
Hmm.
So Kappa, she's a Kappa at U of A, and they did they do all the dances, like they do
Yeah,
like
yeah.
okay, so they did it was Gwen Stefani's or who that one I forget. Anyways,
I'm trying to
so
think. Yeah.
Blythe, one of her sorority sisters, she was like in the front. It was like three of them, and then they had all
Hmm.
the girls in the back. And their TikTok went so viral
Oh, wow.
that what the Washington Post or the Washington Journal magazine did an article around sororities and how now sorority girls are now like getting brand deals from these
Mm,
recruiting videos. And so then Blythe ended up getting flown to Fashion Week from a brand.
wow.
It was insane. And what was funny is that my daughter actually made a comment and her comment went viral. So they actually like quoted her comment on the Washington
Wow.
on the Wall Street Journal, like Business Journal magazine, and they didn't say her name. I'm like, darn it, because it was funny. It was a funny
Yeah.
comment.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
thing
Yeah.
is that it was all because a video, a little dance of theirs
Yeah.
for recruitment went viral. And then here this Blythe ends up getting, and she had like a private account. She had to
Hmm.
make it
Interesting.
public.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a whole thing. And then so now you have the added pressure of sororities having
Hmm.
to like top the next
Yeah.
video and because that's what a lot of these girls are basing on what sorority they want to be in.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I don't have TikTok, but I do have Instagram. So I think
Good for
it's
you, by the way. You might be like one of the very few people that I deleted. I ended up deleting mine, but like
yeah.
I like to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, it's too much to have different
Yeah,
platforms. I
yeah,
don't know. It is a lot of pressure, but
it is.
it's so interesting like how just so quickly things can change for people and it is kind of changing like lives a bit. How
Yeah,
like when you go viral and this whole like trend of doing that and then especially yeah with the added pressure of being in a sorority and all of that. I don't really feel like we have that here where we have like a social media presence, I guess, but
okay.
I have seen all of those videos and the dances
Like
going viral.
I was
It's a
like, I
whole
can't
thing.
imagine doing this when we were in a sorority. I would have been like, I would have
Yeah.
been like dancing though, because I love to dance, and everyone
Yeah.
knows that like I was the one that was like always on the dance floor at the parties. Even on
Yes.
Saturday with Danica's birthday party, they're like, Rocky, you know you
Oh,
want to get out there and like drop
yeah.
it like it's hot or whatever, because there's a song drop it like, and so I was
Yeah.
dancing. I'm like, they're like, she still got it. I'm like, I know. So I would have been the one that like, hey, can I be a part of the dancing?
Hmm. Yeah, That honestly, during our whole rush process, that was the best part because that was just like when they were playing music and just we would enter, we would kind of like dance with them, and that it was so nice to like get that breather and like kind of have fun during it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. So then besides being in a sorority, like are there other clubs that you're getting involved with
Yeah,
specifically?
yeah, so the great thing about USC, and I'm sure other schools have it too, is just like I'm able to find what I'm interested in. And because I know I want to go into sports and I just love sports business, there is actually like a club or an association called Sports Business Association.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
something I'm a part of. And within that, there's different events and we have different speakers that are in the sports world to come talk to us. And then also, I'm part of the mentorship program where I have a mentor who works in sports, and I kind of get to ask whatever I want and develop a connection within that. And that has been a really great
It's really
outlet
cool. Yeah.
to kind of learn more about what I am interested in and kind of see the different opportunities out there for me. And then on top of that, I am right now, I'm managing the USC baseball team, which has been really great because we're off to a great start
Oh, really?
of the
Okay.
season. Yeah.
Cool.
So that has been really fun. It is definitely busy, but just kind of to me, it's all about how can I gain experience in different areas and see what I'm interested in and then not interested in, so I can just kind of pave my path that way.
Yeah, no, I do find, like you said, you it was your perspective, but all the Gen Zers that I've been speaking to, I do
Hmm.
find that they really are trying to do what they can to be more involved on
Yeah.
their campuses and their clubs because you guys have this more like sense of awareness of how you're able to
Yeah.
give back. Not only just
Hmm.
give back, but then also how do I take advantage of these
Yeah.
opportunities that are being given to me right now? Because
Right.
I know how difficult it is to kind of navigate things, or even
Hmm.
knowing that once you graduate from college, like finding a job is really difficult, and
Yeah.
like alumni networks are important. Like for instance,
Hmm.
my son graduated from Virginia Tech, and that Hokie alumni network in that Virginia, DC area is insane. I've never
Hmm.
met so
Yeah.
many alumni from a college that are just so freaking like gung ho. If you're a Hokie, they'll do anything
Yeah.
to like for you to help
Hmm.
you out. And you guys are acknowledging that already at a younger age, where someone like myself, I was just so like oblivious to
Hmm.
everything to the point where for me, and I don't know if you know much about me and why I do all of this to even begin with, is that I suffered from depression when I was in college, and I actually had a failed suicide attempt while I was at UCLA. So now I never actually graduated.
Hmm.
Um, and so for me, like I'm kind of healing that 20-year-old by speaking to all of you and giving you guys a
Yeah.
platform to share your voice and your perspective, because I really felt like I just felt so alone, and I felt like misunderstood, and I felt like I didn't belong because I didn't feel smart enough. I didn't feel pretty enough, especially when you're in LA. I'm sorry, but
Hmm.
being in LA,
Yeah.
there's a different level of like competition and pressure there because
Hmm.
I mean, now it might be a little bit different, but at the time, entertainment industry, it's LA and New York. Like now
Yeah.
it's kind of dispersed where it's not like as intense. Hollywood isn't as it used to be. But at the time, like who do you know?
Hmm.
And how do you look? And so adding all of that on top of it, like it was really hard for me. And so now like getting to speak to all of you and then getting to like showcase you guys in a way where people hopefully aren't going to misunderstand you guys as much as maybe they
Hmm.
already are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, this is like why I do it, but I share that because having these conversations, like it's making me realize that you guys really are doing the best that you can. Like,
Hmm.
I don't think people really are acknowledging that enough. Like, you guys have so much pressure, and then you have social media, and then AI, and all of these added things on top of that. Um, you guys are handling yourself in the most like graceful way, I think. Like, obviously, there's, always bad apples and,
Yeah.
in every situation, you know what I mean? But as a whole, like, I am just always so impressed and inspired
Oh,
by
yeah.
all of you. And I just love that we can have these type of conversations where we can like, I can share with you like, hey, I failed and hey, like this
Yeah.
happened. And because it's important for you guys to also to understand that like life is gonna
Hmm.
throw you a lot of curveballs. And I think a lot of people think that you guys are soft
Yeah.
and aren't very resilient.
Hmm.
So when you hear that, or like when people, because I'm sure you hear it all the time, like what people have to
Hmm.
say about your generation,
Yeah.
like how, like, what's your response to those type of
Yeah,
things?
yeah. I mean, first of all, thank you again for sharing that. I do think
Yeah.
understanding and knowing our why and why we do things is really, the motivation behind everything. And like again, like with my podcast, I started it because, like I do think everyone deserves a voice, just like
Hmm.
you were saying. And I think with my own experiences and regarding like mental health and all of that, it's important to have that type of outlet and that type of community to keep going because life is so
Yeah.
difficult. It is, I think, especially with social media again, like
Yeah.
it's just it's always there and it's hard to not have it because it seems like everybody has it and the whole comparison thing. And I think even without social media, there still is going to be comparison and there's
Yeah.
going to
Well,
be
yeah, clearly, because I
judgments.
had it and I didn't have
Yeah.
social media. So,
Right. So it's just learning how to navigate those challenges. And I think for me in my experience, I felt like I faced a lot of challenges at an early age and it was hard to know like, oh, is this person also facing something similar? Like, we don't just share it. It's all like
yeah.
behind the scenes. So again, having these outlets is where we can learn more about our experiences and kind of connect through that. But I do think for in high school, that was something that was difficult for me where I was, I don't know, handling a family challenge, whether it's like grief or something, some type of stress where I felt like more alone in a way, and
Hmm.
it was difficult to share, or I didn't know how to share is another thing. So I think now that I'm in college and I've kind of learned more about myself during my high school years, I'm able to really um, share more things and I guess overcome more challenges easier. And it's interesting that you mentioned how it is a perception that we have soft skin
Hmm.
because um, we're sharing everything so easily,
Yeah.
but also are we truly sharing everything? Like, it can be perceived differently and it's there's always misinformation going around. You never know about different things, but yeah, I think I don't know, for me I do feel like sometimes I have soft skin, but at the same time I'm like I went through like a lot. I feel like that I had to overcome and it was super difficult, but I feel like that is what makes me more resilient and how I've, I guess, built grit and learn more about myself is because of my experience. And I'm sure other people can relate because we all have different experiences, but we're all also growing together.
Yeah. That's the thing is you're still young. Like you still have so many experiences to have.
Yeah.
So I don't understand when people are so quick to be like, oh, the young and the youth. I'm like, yeah, they're
Hmm.
young. They are meant to like
Yeah.
be and act like teenagers. Like, since when is it that they're not allowed to act that way anymore? Like that's why
Right.
when I talk to so many of you, the ones that are in high school, I'm like, remember, you're still a teenager. Like you're
Hmm.
not an adult yet. Like
Yeah.
have fun. And so I think it's like I don't know where this pressure is coming from, and I'm trying
Hmm.
to figure it out. And I had a conversation with the girlfriend, one of my girlfriends from UCLA, who's going into psychology, and she talks to
Hmm.
the youth too. And we both were trying to like figure out like the source of where it's coming from, so that we can somehow like kind of lessen that pressure
Yeah.
and that competition because I just see you guys growing up quicker and earlier and maturing more and again the self-awareness, all of those things and I feel like so many adults just forget like they were young ones. I
Hmm.
don't know why like
Yeah.
so many people block the
Yeah.
fact that they were like teenagers and ran amok and, were stupid and said stupid things. I mean, shoot, I still say stupid things and do stupid shit sometimes. Like, and
Yeah.
I'm 50, like, because I still feel like I'm a kid.
Hmm. Yeah. I love
But
that. Yeah, I think again with social media there's this we feel the need to speed up our lives, and I think
yeah,
seeing everyone's highlight reels and all the achievements and great things, obviously this is great for everyone individually, but I think seeing that we I guess feel the need to be on that level and to follow that same path. And I think that's where the pressure is coming from, is externally, and then we're taking it internally, because I've seen this
yeah.
with myself as well, as like, why do I feel the need to, like, I don't know, already get a job or like really like take
Or already
advantage of
have
all
like
these
a
things?
successful business by the 21. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. It's you're right. It's like, how do we now promote having fun? Like, what does that mean? And then the other thing is like I guess failing and having mistakes. Like
yeah,
there's no opportunity or chance to really do that. And I've I don't know, I want to have mistakes. I want to learn
yeah,
from that. And when I do make a mistake, I'm like, wow, like that that just happened and I overcome it and learn from it. And it's kind of a good feeling in that type of way.
yeah, it is. It's
Um,
kind of empowering. Like I have found
it's
that, like if I
empowering.
do
Yeah.
something that where I'm like, darn it, like as of late, there's with what I'm doing, like there's a lot of things that's like trial and error and just with
Right.
my, just with everything and I had a teen empowerment event here in San Diego. It was a flop.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to do a Rock Vision, like a youth social network. It was a flop.
Hmm.
But I'm finding it like it's empowering myself because I'm like, no, but I'm still going. Like I'm
Yeah.
pushing through and I'm not embarrassed to say like, hey, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And there's something about that that as you get older, you're like, yeah, like it's a notch in your belt of like,
Uh-huh.
I fell on my face, but I got
Hmm.
up and I continue to go. And that's when people start respecting you.
Right.
And then they start realizing like, okay, if that person's so open about falling
Yeah.
on their face and still getting up and not being ashamed, then
Yeah.
maybe it gives me permission to do the same. So I think that's
Hmm.
why I love, not, it's not, I think, I love that you're doing your mental playbook podcast because
Yeah.
especially with athletes, people put them
Hmm.
on a pedestal in a way that
Right.
it's like ridiculous. And not only that, like people don't see the unseen hours
Hmm.
of what these
Yeah.
athletes do. And then we put him up here. And then if they don't get the
Yeah.
gold at the Olympics, if they don't get the Super Bowl ring, if they don't get this, it's like suddenly
Hmm.
they weren't good enough. And I'm like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? Like just to get to that level and to begin with, like
Yeah.
I think people also forget, like, okay, then you go do it. Like you're
Yeah.
sitting there
Yes.
like
Yeah.
pointing fingers at the TV. Okay, you
Hmm.
get on that field. And
Yeah.
you're like,
I know we judge so easily. I do it too when my team doesn't win. Like, come on now.
yeah.
Like, but I do think, yeah, it we look down upon those people when they make mistakes, but then what about ourselves? What about when we make our own mistakes? It's normal, it's life, and I think that's something like I have to remind myself too, like we all do it, even if it's not the same exact mistake or if it's not the
Yeah.
same exact experience, we've all kind of faced something similar. But it's just whether like we're speaking up about it, we're sharing it, and we're making it more normalized, because right now what's normalized is like you have to win, you have to be the
Yeah.
greatest in order to get this job, or you have to have a what 4.0 GPA
Well, I didn't
to
realize
do this
what's the you
internship.
have to you can have like a 5.0, 5 point something now, or like what's the highest GPA you can have now?
I think for us it's 4.0 is the highest, I believe.
Oh,
But
okay. Someone
but
the
in high
other
school it
day,
was
yeah.
different.
Yeah, I think someone in high school said you can have like a 5.0
Yeah, I
or
think
something.
that's
I
yeah,
was
I don't even know. I just it is also nice. Like my parents weren't super like I guess they didn't pressure me
Neither did
about
my
like
parents.
grades and
Yeah.
stuff, so I like didn't really care much about it.
Me neither.
But
My parents were
obviously,
like, yeah, my parents are like, whatever.
yeah. Yeah, they're just like as long as you're trying, and
Yeah,
I do appreciate that. But then the pressure I think came from myself, like
that
where
me too.
I
Yeah.
felt the need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, I think something like and something that's happening right now is like as soon as you have these people that are up here and then a video comes out of something that they
Hmm.
did wrong and everybody suddenly is like, okay, you're an awful human being. But I'm
Yeah.
like, if you turn the tables, what if that was you and you know the situation, you lived it, you know that you made
Hmm.
the mistake, at what point are you able to like kind of give grace to the other person. I think that's something that I hope that we start recognizing more and more.
Right.
Like, hey, if this was you and you something
Yeah.
came out that you did, wouldn't you want people to extend some kind of like grace and
Yeah.
not and that's the thing too is like we are so obsessed with seeing people's like videos of just
Yeah.
their personal life and everything
Yeah.
and that's become normalized too and I'm
I
like
know.
at what
We get
point
attached to it. Like it's
yeah
yeah.
it's a tough one and I feel like it's not an easy fix. It's not an easy solution, but I feel like the more we can at least like talk about it and maybe kind of like share like
Yeah.
this might not be the best way to to do things or like
Yeah.
maybe be kinder and I don't know. It's just it's a lot and that's why I do feel and I have so much empathy for all of you
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's a whole nother level
Yeah.
of
And I
yeah.
think like it's easier to put ourselves in someone else's shoes when it's like that physical connection, but then
Yeah.
online when we see that, we're not thinking about that. We're
Yeah.
just we don't think about what they feel, and I think it's
Yeah.
hard because it's like, is what they're sharing real, or with this
Yeah.
whole AI stuff, I don't even
Oh yeah,
know.
AI is a whole nother thing too. Yeah, like that's crazy. I think there's a documentary that was going around a bunch of the film festivals and I think it's now being released, maybe one of the
Hmm.
streaming apps. And it's about a gentleman who I think he's a documentarian filmmaker, anyways, but
Yeah.
he has a son and he was just curious. He's like, I want to learn about AI and I want to learn because this is like now my child is going to be growing up in a world of AI. So
Yeah.
he had the opportunity to like interview like the heads of all these AI, like I think even Anthropic, like, and just kind of asking them, like, all right, like why did you start it or not why did you
Yeah.
start it but why did you at least have like software app
Right.
for it and all of these things and it's like scary. I mean the
Hmm.
what the trailer that I saw it wasn't like you're gonna walk away going oh we're okay like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we're all gonna walk away going oh my gosh but
Yeah.
he just was curious because
Hmm.
as a parent so yeah that's a whole nother thing that like the next
Yeah.
generations and the next generations but I feel like as long as we can do our best to bridge the gap
Hmm.
between the generations and be like hey
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
learn more about what you're going through so that I can help you we can come together and just like
Yeah.
do something about this as opposed to the opposite and so that's like what for me I'm also really adamant about that like being someone that's older and having a lot of my peers my age, a lot of them watch these podcasts
Yeah.
because they're like, yeah, I'm kind of curious. And
Yeah.
then they walk away going, okay, I do actually better understand and I think do better when I interact with someone who's younger.
Mm.
Or maybe a lot of them are now wanting to mentor.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because with my podcast, I look at the data and the analytics and whatever and
Yeah.
trying to learn from it. But a lot of my listeners are older. They're like ages, like 45 to like 50 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I find that interesting because I started it to help younger athletes
Hmm.
learn and develop because I think there's a lot of pressure now to start playing a sport at a young age and competing. And
Hmm.
there's a lot of pressure through that. And I wanted to make sure that they have a system and an outlet to also um, learn from, I guess, older athletes as
Yeah.
well. So it's interesting to see that parents are really
It's
listening
the
to my
parents.
podcast. Yeah.
It
And
really is.
I don't even know if really kids listen to podcasts, but it is I think it is good for like yeah, the parents to learn and so they can help spread awareness to their kids as well.
Yeah. And then just hopefully just be a better parent too. Like it helped me
Hmm.
become a better parent. Having
Yeah.
having this podcast and listening to all of you, it definitely helped a
Oh,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah, like it for the better. Like it's yeah, it's kind of crazy because I didn't expect that when I started it
Yeah.
5 years ago.
The
I was like,
things we
oh, I'll just
learn.
talk to kids and, see
Yeah.
what they have to say during COVID and, kind of like la 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 la. And then as time passed, like all these learning lessons and all these things that were like, I was changing and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm a parent and I'm a mom and my kids are this age and like how am I showing up for them and am I
Hmm.
creating a safe space for them? I'm like, I'm creating a safe space for these kids on my
Yeah.
show and not judging them, but like, oh my gosh, I'm judging my own kids and I'm not even
Yeah.
allowing like all these things started coming up and I was like, damn, okay.
Yeah.
I need to like look in the mirror hard here and be like, are you actually like walking the walk?
Hmm.
And I had
Yeah.
to. And I have
Yeah.
been. But it's work. Like that's why
Yeah.
it's not easy for people to change because it
Right.
is work.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, that's one of the reasons I also want to study psychology is to
Yes.
learn about that and learn more about myself through that to see, I don't know, just to have some type of knowledge and guidance through that and then
Yeah.
carry it on to what I want to do. And whether it's, yeah, working on my podcast or developing connections and different worlds. And I love that you're advocating bridging the gap between those generations because I never really thought about it like that because
Mhm.
it just seems like, oh, I have these mentors or I'm talking to these teachers or um, that I guess situation, but it is really, I think I want to bridge that gap, and that's why I find it easier to talk to others and talk to like, my podcast guests and learn about their upbringing and see how we can connect through that.
Yeah. No, I think that's fantastic. Um, well, I'm going to go ahead and close this out, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to share anything that maybe you didn't get a chance to share or just kind of leave us with some, words of wisdom or just,
Yeah, I mean,
anything.
yeah, I think it's I've realized more that I'm more passionate about learning more about myself. I think that is something big when we're thrown into an environment with a bunch of different people and all we're doing is really comparing. But it's instead of doing that, it's easier to just focus on ourselves and our own growth and seeing what we can do to better ourselves. And I think when we do that, then we kind of lose that comparison and that
Mhm.
judgment, and we're more focused on ourselves. And it's not selfish at all, it's
Mm-mm.
self-improvement.
Yeah.
And the other thing is when we do that, then we can be able to share like on spaces like this. And I'm just grateful that you have this platform and I was able to
Mhm.
come and talk about myself and learn about you as well. And I think that's how these connections start. And even though it's online, it's still it's we're making the most out of it. And yeah, we can have social media. I have social media, but I think what we do on it does matter. If
Mhm.
we're, spreading negativity, that's not something we should have then. But I have it because I want to spread positivity. I want to make people more aware about whatever's going on in the world and know that they have support. And I think even being in college, it's that transition of having independence. And I'm such a homebody. I love being with my family and I love being at home with my dog, but being in a different environment, learning how to build a new support system here as well has been really different. But I think when you work on that, it makes things a little bit easier when you overcome challenges. But yeah, I think just finding the right people to talk to and just being curious is has really guided me through my own journey of life.
Oh, well, that's a perfect way to end the podcast. Thank you so much, Malia. I'm not going to hold it against you that you're a Trojan.
I know.
That intense
Rivals.
rivalry, I know. But thanks again.
Thank you, Raquel.